Hi. I hope you found our videos helpful in learning Blender. Starting with this video, we will no longer show the keys commonly used to adjust the viewpoint in the 3D viewport, since you have probably used them often enough by now to no longer need reminding. Here's a summary of the keys that we'll be omitting from now on.
The next entry in the toolbar is the Loop Cut tool. In fact, there are two tools available here: the Loop Cut, which is the default option, and the Offset Edge Loop Cut. The Loop Cut tool gives us a quick and simple way to create a new loop of edges around a set of quad faces. Although we could manage to do the same thing using subdivide, this tool gives us a lot more control over the process. Once the Loop Cut tool is selected, when we move the mouse pointer over any face, Blender displays a yellow line loop showing where the new edges will be placed. If we place the pointer near the top or bottom of the face, we'll see a vertical loop, and if we place the pointer to the right or left, we'll see a horizontal loop. Notice that we don't need to select any elements in the mesh before executing this option. By default, the new edges will be placed at the center of the existing edges to be cut through. All we need to do is left-click the mouse. However, if we'd like the loop to be elsewhere, then we need to drag using the left mouse button, releasing it when the loop is in the position we want. There's an extensive last op panel for the operation. Number of cuts set the number of edge loops to be created. These are spread evenly over the original faces being cut. Smoothness adds curvature to the new edges. The curve will be inwards when a negative value is specified. Fall off controls the profile of that curvature with several preset shapes available. Factor adjusts the position of the new edges, allowing them to be placed anywhere within the faces being cut. Notice that when we add a new loop cut and move it towards the existing edges, it becomes more parallel to those edges the closer it gets to them. Even, if selected, makes the new edges parallel to a specific set of adjacent edges, irrespective of how close it is to the opposite set. And if flipped is selected at the same time, the new edges become parallel to the opposite set of edges. Clamp ensures that the new edges don't move past existing edges. Actually, this would normally be difficult to achieve in any case, since Factor only allows the slider action to produce values in the range -1 to 1, which ensures the new edges stay within the limits of the faces they are cutting. However, we can type directly into that field, and this allows us to enter values outside the usual range, and hence place the new edges outside the faces they are meant to be cutting. By selecting Clamp, Blender ensures that Factor stays within its designated range no matter what value we attempt to enter. The last two fields of the Last Op panel can be ignored at this stage. While the Last Op panel allows us to adjust the current loop cut, at the top left of the viewport, we can adjust the number of cuts for future loop cuts. To bypass the Loop Cut tool selection in the toolbar, we need only press Ctrl-R. Left-click to start sliding the new edges by moving the mouse, then the left-click again to finalize the position of the edges. If you right-click to complete the slide, the edges will revert to the center position. Once you've pressed Ctrl-R, scrolling the mouse wheel will adjust the number of cuts. Alternatively, the plus and minus keys on the numpad, or the page up and page down keys, will do the same job. If we hold down the Alt key while scrolling the mouse wheel, or hitting one of the previously named keys, we'll adjust the smoothness setting. The number of cuts and smoothness settings are displayed in the top left of the viewport. Note that the smoothness parameter does not take effect until the first click of the left mouse button. At this point, the display in the top left changes to a displacement value as we move the new edges. Pressing E during the move phase will cause new edges to become parallel to one set of existing edges, and pressing F will make the new edges parallel to the opposite set of existing edges. To position the loop cut an exact distance from the existing edges, position them right up against the existing edges and complete the operation. Now press G, the direction letter, here it's X, and enter the required distance. If we press GG and a value between -1 and 1, we will move the new edges by a percentage of the face's width. The loop cut can only work on quad faces, so on a UV sphere, it can create a full horizontal loop but only half a vertical loop, stopping at the tri-faces around the poles of the sphere. And while it can cut a horizontal loop on a cylinder, it can't do the same on a cone where the main faces are tris. In the case of the cone, one way to overcome this problem is to assign a small value to radius 2. This opens up the tip of the cone, and hence the main faces now become quads. Once the loop cuts are in place, we can merge the vertices at the top of the cone. The second tool in this location in the toolbar is the Offset Edge Loop Cut. The purpose of this tool is to create new edges on either side of an existing edge or set of edges. To begin, we must select the existing edges. Using the Offset tool, dragging creates two sets of new edges, one on either side of the originally selected edges. The last op panel has many entries in common with that of the previous tool, but number of cuts, smoothness, and fall-off are missing since it is possible to create only one loop cut on either side of the existing edges. Factor adjusts the distance of the new edges from the original selection. Select Even, and the new edges become parallel to the original selection. Select Flipped, and the new edges become parallel to the opposite edge in their respective faces. The only new field in this panel is Cap Endpoint. This is only relevant if the new edges don't form a complete loop. In these cases, selecting this option will produce additional edges so that the new edges complete the loop. Using the keyboard, we can access the Offset Edge Loop Cut tool by pressing Shift-Control-R, with E activating the Even option and F the Flipped option. To complete this video, here is a summary of the keyboard shortcuts we used to access the Loop Cut tools.